Get ready to fern your frown upside down with today's lecture.
Fern reproduction.
What even are ferns?
That's a good question. A fern is a vascular plant that contains sporangia and rhizomes.
Well, what is a sporangia?
Well, sporangia are structures at the bottom of leaves in which ferns produce and secrete spores, which are the key to a fern's reproductive cycle.
What are rhizomes?
Rhizomes are underground stems that serve as support and storage for nutrients.
Well, how do ferns thrive?
Well, ferns thrive in a moist and cool environment and can be found in a variety of places such as forests.
Here are a few examples.
Now we're going to talk about how ferns reproduce.
The first way is sexual reproduction, which starts with teeny heart-shaped gamophytes. On these, sperms swim through water to fertilize the eggs. This is why moisture is very important.
Second is asexually. Ferns spread asexually mainly through rhizomes, which are underground stems. These rhizomes grow and create new roots and fronds, making exact copies of the parent plant. This process is called vegetative cloning, which forms new colonies of plants with the same genetics.
So pretty much sexually increases genetic diversity, while asexually just makes the plants identical.
Yes, exactly. Let's take a closer look at the fern cycle.
The first step is sporangium production. Ferns produce small cup-like structures called sporangia on the underside of the fronds, containing tiny little spores. So the second step is spore release. When the sporangia mature, they release the spores, which are dispersed by the wind.
The third step is germination. The spores land on suitable soil and grow into tiny heart-shaped structures called prothal. The fourth step is gamophyte production. The prothali produce gametes which are used in fertilization.
The fifth step is sporophyte production. During fertilization, the prothalus produces a new structure called the sporophyte. This is the fern plant that we recognize today with roots, stems, and fronds. Over time, the sporophyte will produce sporangia and repeat the whole cycle.
Your assignment is to grow your own fern.
What you will need first is ethanol, which is the disinfectant material, and then you will need the glass tool, which is used to spread the spores.
You will also need a pipette to disperse the spores and a petri dish to grow your ferns.
So prepping your ferns, the first step, collect your materials.
Step 2, pipette 4 drops of spores onto your plate.
Step 3, spread the spores with the glass tool.
Step 4, disinfect the glass tool with ethanol. Wipe cleanly dry.
And then step 5, make sure plate is under the light or sunlight.
Step 6, you need to consistently water your ferns weekly.
So John, this is what your process should be like.
Figure 3 is...
Well, what is the purpose of a blue light?
Well, chlorophyll pigment is attracted to blue light, which is needed for photosynthesis. So, the ferns will grow towards the blue light as if it's the sun.
Figure 4 is the first sign of growth.
So figure 5 is just figure 4, but figure 5, the spores have been growing for a longer duration of time.
Right, John.
In this slide, the dots at the bottom of the mature fern are known as clusters of spores called sori. Sori is a good indicator that it is a healthy fern. Now this figure is the undersurface view.
This figure shows the reproductive spores that grew into the squishy agar and helped the development of fern roots.
These hair-like structures help the fern absorb nutrients and water.
That's it for today's lesson.
Finally!
Not so fast, John.
What?
We're going to go to the greenhouse and show you a real-life example.
Follow me.
Here we have some dried out ferns that are losing their color.
And if you look over here, John, you can still see some premature ferns. Watch, Phil, you can still feel the moisture.
Wow!
John, here are some healthy adult ferns. Eventually, the ferns that we're growing in class will turn into this.
Whoa!
Hey, John, could you find us some ferns?
I can try.
No, that's not one. I think I found one.
Let me see. Yeah, you're right, John. Watch. If you look underneath, you can see all the sori.
Well, that sums it up for today.